wait, what happened to content? But anyways, what's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today? And welcome to another episode of the Xbox International Podcast. We are in flight. What number is it? Last now number 79. Yeah, we're getting close to that 100 spot, and I cannot wait till we reach the 100th episode. We gotta do something special that day, guys. What should we do? Should I wear a tutu or what should we
Oh
do?
my god.
We gotta do something special that day. But anyways, let me start right off with the introduction. We have a person that's from New Zealand and Albion, fan of anime and obsessed with Link so much that she has a shrine full of him. That's interesting. Trainers in the Fractured Peaks and Dry Steps, builds her own PC. Anybody can build their own PC better than me.
Not you.
Not
or
not
your
you,
technician.
Oh. I know. Did you purposely put that in there? Fan of Obsidian and RTS, the youngest of the two clones from the future, Red Dead Panda. What's up and welcome, dear friend. And thank you for joining us on this very awesome episode of the Xbox International Podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I am really, really, really good. I've watched the Adam Savage video of the most recent episode of them building the Starfield model, and I'm just counting down for Starfield tomorrow. Nothing seems to kind of matter at the moment, other than that game, and you probably all agree the hype for that is insane. But super excited to be here, and just want to say thank you to the whole panel for having me on, and thank you to the chat as well. Yeah, awesome. Can't wait.
And thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Really awesome to have you here. And speaking about awesome, who should I go to next? The Big Plume, one of the awesomest, coolest guys there is out there. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Panda. Awesome having you here, and I agree. There is really nothing else in gaming right now to think about or even talk about. It's just Starfield. So I can't wait to jump in. Hopefully tomorrow night. Unfortunately, I have a baseball game tomorrow night. It's a playoff game, so I can't miss it. So I'm gonna miss probably tomorrow night unless I get home really late and start. But I will be definitely jumping in on Friday. Yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. I'm excited to get into the episode.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And speaking about lots to talk about, Sourblow, our awesome Lionel Richie man. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be here, excited to be here. We have an awesome guest. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a little bit tired, but drinking some energy drink, and excited to see everyone here. See that Plume is really ready for Starfield. Just waiting, like kind of like New Year's when you're waiting for that for the time to just hit the New Year. That's how I feel with Starfield.
That's how we all feel. I mean, we are all excited. We are all crazy to jump on that game and have a lot of fun. And speaking about fun, our awesome sexy captain. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm conflicted by that introduction. I'm a little nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Why am I fun?
Why are you fun? Because you're always fun when you're on Twitter.
Also, incidentally, that PC repair this weekend, chat, you guys didn't get to see it, but man, the conversation we had with this gentleman over the weekend, we are lucky that he is on a computer right now with us in this show. Just saying.
Let's just say you're not supposed to mix water with a PC.
Wait,
Yeah.
you literally thought I literally took a computer outside and hosed it down? You guys really thought I would do that?
I think you were 5 minutes from doing it before we said, no, please don't. And then you're like, just kidding. Sourblow, I was just kidding. I wasn't going to do that.
Got sick of playing Pressure Wash Simulator and
Yep,
then tried to do it in real life with his PC.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm crazy. I'm tired. It's been a long work week, and it's only been 3 days in.
You tell me.
But tomorrow's my Friday, and
Good.
that is perfect because that means I get to know life Starfield, hopefully quite a bit over the next day or two, and I am stoked.
Mm.
Um,
I'm jealous.
can't come soon enough. I will tell you though that I am going to be playing it in the best way possible. I'm going to be playing it on my PS5.
Oh, nice.
At 0 frames per
Oh,
second? I don't think that's a nice way to
4K
play the
60
game.
on
no,
YouTube.
4K
4K
60 on
60 on
YouTube.
YouTube.
You just got to grab the controller, use your imagination. That's what I keep telling everybody.
I got this.
Yep.
It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man,
Oh
oh
man.
man. Nobody is gonna ask me how I've been. That's how it
No,
is.
no.
Hey,
We don't
crazy,
want to know. No, we know
crazy,
how you've been. You've
crazy.
been
How have you been? How have you
Well,
been, bud?
after I had a nasty Friday with the PC, right? That it did not. It was Thursday that we had the issue, right? It did not want to turn on. So yeah, pretty much it took me 10 hours to plug in a power supply. What do you guys believe about that? And not only that, it's not rightfully
10.
plugged
I believe everything about it.
because I literally showed a video to Plume. I don't know if Sourblow posted that I had to tap the computer in order to turn the front fans on. Sometimes they turn off. Sometimes I do not know why, but I gotta look for that and fix it. But yes, it
What
took me ten
the?
hours to do that.
You've got a short somewhere, and I would make sure that those fans are on every time you use the computer, because
Yeah,
otherwise
I'm
you are going
checking.
to overheat so fast.
Yeah, I'm checking on that. I'm checking on that. Plus, I got the AC on, so we're good to go. We're good to go. But yeah, I've been checking on that, and yeah, it's been like 2 or 3 times it turned off. So yeah, just tap it and whoop, it restarts again. It's crazy.
Every time someone rings his doorbell, his computer turns off.
Nah, sorry, bro. That was another bad joke. What the hell's going on
He
with my doorbell?
mainlined it right into his right into his power.
Yeah.
He's like, "You want 1,000 watt power supply? I got you covered. I'm going right into the breaker."
Oh man.
Oh, and to those people who are members, yeah, I'm trying to fix it up. But I'm trying to fix the whole membership up. I'm having a thing with Google Pay, so yeah, I'm fixing it up,
I I,
guys.
I want to know who bright idea was to have Crazy Lou manage the member.
No, no, no. Let's be honest. Who was the bright idea to say, "Hey, why don't you put a United States address"? Who was that? I wonder who. I'm not gonna mention any names. That's why I'm having
What?
an issue.
Oh my god, whatever. Anyway, I will say this real quick before we begin. To
Uh,
our members, I believe I sent you guys the email with your flight tickets, and I'm going to send you probably tonight or tomorrow. I'll send you for our first class member, I will send you the August monthly airline control handbook, which is going to be our first one being sent out. So watch your emails for that. And the other, some of the first class members, I don't have your email. Just send me your email through Twitter. That way I can send you over the handbook and today's ticket. But continue, Grace.
all right, all right, all right. And let us start off with our guest. Tell us what you have been playing, young lady.
Um, Halo multiplayer. Like I said
Nice.
before the show, because I can't play Starfield and I'm a bit frustrated about that, I've been playing that to ease my frustrations. I just finished Bramble the Mountain King, and I'm starting Sea of Stars, but I'm probably just going to have to put that down because Starfield's coming out, so that'll be that. But I'm chipping away at Assassin's Creed Valhalla and also The Division 2. I haven't finished that game. I've had it forever, and so I'm slowly chipping away at it bit by bit. But honestly, nothing can keep me sort of engaged at the moment because I'm like, it's not Starfield, I'm bored. But that's probably how everyone's feeling at the moment. But yeah, mainly Halo at the moment. Yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's cool.
tomorrow's
That's cool.
Starfield.
How about
All right.
you, Sourblow, the man who was so excited to play Starfield but won't be able to play it? What have you been playing, sir?
Well, funny enough, I actually I stopped playing Gotham Knights because I mentioned it. I believe last week. So I did start it. Um, she just mentioned it. Bramble. What is it?
The Mountain King.
The Mountain King. Yeah. So I played a little bit of that. Pretty cool indie game so far, and every so often I play a little bit of. I'm playing also Arkham Origins. So that's currently what
Nice.
I've been. I haven't had much gameplay other than that.
That's a fun game. Arkham Origins. Pretty fun game. How about you, Silent? What have you been playing, sir?
Oh man, what have I been playing? Um. Oh
Besides,
no,
besides Twitter?
you know what? I've actually I've been playing. I've been playing Twitter. I've been having some fun in Twitter. Uh, no, I have been having lots of fun in Twitter. God bless all those folks that keep engaging. But I actually, I never crazy. I never beat Red Dead Redemption 2.
What? Oh my god.
And so I've been diving back into that, and I really like that game. I don't know why I bounced off of it early on, like when it came out. I don't know if it was just because I felt like overwhelmed because of how much stuff there is. Because everyone always tells you like there's so much stuff to do,
Yeah.
and I feel like every time that I jumped into the game, I'd always get distracted. But I've been focusing on the storyline, and I've made a pretty good bit of progress on it so far. I'm really enjoying that game, and it's funny. Like that game released what 5 years ago now,
Mm,
6.
probably
Um,
so.
that
I think
thing still looks better than a lot of the games coming out today, and it doesn't even have a Series S or Series X update.
yeah, it's
That's pretty
insane.
wild.
It's insane, and you know you got the best version of it because when that game first came out, like for example, if you were riding the horse and it was like a branch right in the level of you riding the horse, literally that would knock you down.
You you must not have seen that. Sorry, shameless plug. But I actually have a TikTok of that where I flipped around. I was just cruising on a shoreline and I proceeded to get impaled on a tree branch. That was pretty brutal. Yeah. No, that game is something. There is
Yeah,
like always something new on that game, no matter what you're doing, where you're doing it, whether you're following the main campaign, whether you're going off doing side missions. That game is just it's been the only thing that's really kept my attention over the last week or two, as we're nearing Starfield. Like I didn't want something that was like, oh, I have to finish this. It's going to be a short experience. I need to get done with it. This game, for some reason, whatever reason, I feel just comfy going in there, playing for a little while, bouncing off of it, coming back to it. It's been like the perfect thing for me to play while we lead up to Starfield.
Do
here's
you?
let me give you a little tip on that because this is something that happened to me, but it's not a spoiler. When you're on the D-pad, make
Mhm.
sure you press just click the left on the D-pad. Just hit the left, so that way you can open like the challenges and everything, so you can see all the stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I forgot about a bunch of the mechanics. And so as I've been playing, I'm like, okay, I know there's a way where like when I'm going on a mission with someone, I can just auto lock onto them and I don't have to try and maneuver the horse. You can just let it follow them. I forget how to do that. And I keep pressing a bunch of buttons, and I accidentally shot the person that was leading me to a mission a couple days ago in the process because I accidentally scrolled to the weapons instead of auto targeting.
Yeah, but that's what so just click. Oh, there's an auto targeting. Like I said, there's always something new with that game. It's weird.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I was telling you, I discovered this close to me finishing the game. Like close to me almost finishing the game. I'm not gonna give you spoilers what happens because since you haven't played it. But man, oh man, when I discovered, I was like, oh man, I gotta go back and play this again. Because here's the thing, I beat it last night. Last night I went to bed at 4 a.m. playing that game. I beaten it again. This is my second time, and I was like, man, I want to go through this again because I just have so much fun. It's such a fun
It's
game.
it's
It's
so
insane.
good. So good. Sorry. I feel like I could talk about that game a lot. Like
Me
there's so
too.
many different experiences and stuff, but we
I was
must
gonna
move
ask you
on.
real quick, Silent.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you feel that you playing Red Dead right now, that could somehow like change your gameplay on like could it affect your Starfield gameplay? Maybe you would try to be like a space cowboy or something like that. Or
I mean the thing is, right, is like
just
from
kidding.
the beginning when we figured out the options that you could have with Starfield, I always wanted to be Mal, right? I wanted to be Malcolm Reynolds from Serenity or from Firefly, right? I wanted to be like the space pirate, like space cowboy, space pirate that goes around and loots everything, but has a heart of gold at the same time, right? And so it's like I always, even though I've got kind of like a chaotic, deviant nature in these games, I always go for like the positive character. Like I end up going for like the good guy stuff more than I do the bad guy stuff, and I
So I
think
can
that's what
assume
I'm
your
going to
Mass
do.
Effect playthrough is you being Paragon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's me too. That's me too.
It's hard. I don't know what it is, but I feel like for some reason, even though I'm a horrible person, somehow I always arc good in
We
video
know that.
games more
We
than
know
bad.
that.
So yeah, but yeah.
Hmm. All right, Mr. Plume, tell us what you've been playing, sir.
I've been playing a lot of Halo still playing that. Louis, you know that you jumped in the
Yeah,
other
I
night.
jumped in. Yeah.
And Immortals Vivian been going through that. So slowly going through that game. Pretty cool game. It's kind of like it's just a fast-paced shooter, kind of like a Doom with magic. Maybe not as intense or fast-paced, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's graphically, they're using Unreal Engine 5, and you can see the facial animations and everything are very, very well done. So, but I think it's also at 720p upres, which is an interesting thing they had to do, especially when using UE5. So maybe that's going to be kind of the future of games that are using Unreal Engine 5, but we'll see. But other than that, it's a fun game, cool story, and yeah, I would check it out if you are interested in it.
All right. Like I said, I was playing. We played these. Playing Halo, me and you. Then I played a little bit of Texas, which I used Johnny. Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Such a fun game. Such a fun game. If you guys have not sat down and played it, really play it. It's real fun. And like I mentioned, I beat Red Dead and super happy that I did just in time. But hey, after I beat it, I was like, man, I want to go back. I want to replay it again because after I discovered all that stuff, I was like, man, I gotta go back to this again because it's not a boring game. You don't get bored of it. You just want to ride around, do everything. It's so much fun, so much fun. Especially all the stuff that I discovered. I was like, oh man, I gotta redo this again. But yeah, Red Dead's such a fun game. But hey, we're hyped about Starfield, man. I mean, what we're gonna do just one more day. Me, Silent. We know Sour ain't playing. Sour's gotta be busy. Plume, if he jumps in, he's gonna be there.
I'll probably play it. I don't know. I'll probably find a
Mm.
way.
And Red Dead has to wait one more day. I understand that because you're New Zealand, right? That's why.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it launches, I think, the same time, but it'll be midday tomorrow for me, which is halfway through my workday. So I actually have to wait till I get home to play it.
No.
But my twin, she has the day off, and so she is playing it as soon as it releases
Nice,
at
nice.
midday.
Nice.
And I know I'm going to spend at least probably an hour in character creation to start off with.
All right.
You know what? It will be interesting, real quick. That you and your sister Panda, start at the same time, stream at the same time, and then you compare like at the end of each like stream, like your different decision to see how different you two go. That'll be kind of interesting.
It will be because of the way I guess the procedural generation works around if you land on the same planet, you won't necessarily run into the same things. But we're so similar that I can guarantee if we come across something the same, we're gonna play it the same way.
All right. And now let me go real quick through the flight itinerary before I hand it right over to Sourblow. So we quick talk a little bit about Starfield, right? Which we will, because that's what we've been doing. Gamescom 2023, right, Sourblow? And last but not least, oh wait, before that, we gotta go to the security screening, which Sourblow, I don't know why you did not put that on, but okay.
Oh yeah.
We forgot about that. But yes, we got lots of things to talk about, lots of things. Oh man, we're gonna have a lot of fun on this episode, and really, whew, such cool stuff that went on this week on Gamescom. Sourblow,
Mm.
take it away with that security screening, brother.
All right. Please excuse me because I'm probably all over the place with the notes because I've been a little bit busy. But um,
Sour, quick question: are you kids running around the house because we heard?
yeah,
Okay,
That
you know how it is.
might have
But
been mine too. Sorry.
no, I think it was my little one. But to our guests, it is I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we theme our episode around a flight. And before you get into the flight, we got a security screening to make sure you pass the test. And it's pretty easy. Most people, they get through. Have we blocked anyone yet? I mean, I guess Crazy. If Crazy had to go
Yeah.
through it, he'll probably wouldn't make it. But
He had to go through 3 revisits though. It was kind of rough.
And a cavity search.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
cavity search with him, and once we got to it, once we got to his luggage, he's like, "I don't know what that would. Oh, it's my newest pack of Dominoes. Sourblow, I bought Dominoes."
what?
Anyways, yeah, he'll tell you about it sometime.
oh man, well, we got 2 easy questions or 2 hypothetical questions. I will start with the first one. The first question would be, let's say Constellation has chosen you to pick 3 games that will go into space in a time capsule as a mean of introducing life, as a mean of introducing it to other life forms. What 3 games would you choose, and why would you choose these 3 games?
Okay. Starting off, The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda and the Wind Waker. It's my favorite Zelda game. I have played that so many times. The music, everything about the game, even the art style. And I know that people complained about the art style when that launched, but I started on Nintendo, and as a result, I will always have love for Zelda. So that is my favorite Zelda game. So definitely that one. And we have a lot to thank for Zelda. Like, we wouldn't have any of the Souls-like games if we didn't have Zelda. So, yeah. The next one, I would say Mass Effect Legendary Edition, because that includes, like, all 3 games. And I am obsessed with Mass Effect. Like, the first time I played the Mass Effect 1, I didn't particularly like it, but then I played number 2, mainly because of Yvonne Strahovski, who plays Miranda. Absolutely love her. And then fell in love with Mass Effect 2 and went back and played Mass Effect 1 and actually gave it a fair shake. And then went through and played all 3. And one of my favorite gaming franchises. And the last game would be Fable. That was my introduction to Xbox. That was when I fell in love with Xbox as a whole. Like, that game, the choices, the morality system on it, still has a special place in my heart, even though I think Fable 2 is better as a whole. But Fable 1, just the jank, even the fact that there's the anniversary edition out of that game, it's always going to hold that special place, because that was me trying to play that game with a massive Duke controller. And I don't have very big hands, so it was really hard for me to use that controller, but I loved that game to no end. And so when the new Fable comes out, I'm gonna play the hell out of that. Yeah, those are my 3.
Those
Yeah,
are
Pass the
Zelda.
test.
awesome 3 picks.
You know who loves
Yeah.
You know who loves Zelda? Huh,
Who?
Sour? You know who loves Zelda?
Who's that?
Mr. Dark does.
Nah, Mr. Silent. Hill.
Oh no, Silent loves Pokemon.
Oh, and Mario.
Hey, they're
I'm
good games
allergic to that
too.
egg.
They are good games.
We just mess around with Silent's not a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
But
Not a Nintendo fan? That's okay.
I'm a Nintendo fan back in the day, back
Yeah.
when they didn't have 30 reiterations of Mario
Yeah, like
or
GameCube was
Mario
like
Kart.
their version of heyday for me with Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to when they make a new Mario Kart. I'm guessing that's probably about 20 years from now because they're gonna make another remaster here shortly. I'm guessing
Yeah, for the
of
Switch too.
number
Hey,
8 because
Mario Kart 8 is almost actually it is a perfect game. I don't know how they'll make a better Mario
well,
Kart.
Diddy Kong Racing, Rare has that IP, right? I want another Diddy Kong Racing. Thank you. I
Yes.
still prefer that over Mario Kart. How sad is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plume,
Yes.
the only thing I'll say about the Mario Kart thing is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if all you do is re-release the game, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the question I have more is just how are they going to improve on Mario Kart 8? That's the question I want. It'll be very interesting to see what they do next because I think it's like I said, I think it's a
they
perfect
should
kart racing game.
really integrate Square Enix's take on Splatoon and like foam. Honestly, that's going to be the killer.
Foam stars,
Yeah, foam stars and Mario Kart have a baby.
Put some foam on that.
oh,
That game would be dead on.
Mario foam.
man.
You know what? I'm sold. Mario Kart 9. Let's go.
All right, let's move on to our next question. And our next question is kind of part of two questions. So I will first want to ask you, who is your gaming idol? Who do you like? It could be a game developer, it could be like a head of studio, a head of a company. Who do you idolize in the gaming industry?
Sad, but they're no longer around. It was Lionhead Studios. I don't know. I just loved them. They were
Any
awesome.
specific person?
Well, I'm not going to say Peter Molyneux because we know that he talked a lot of hype and didn't deliver. I mean, he's a great hype man, so definitely use him in the future for anything. But I just think as a whole, the studio itself, that I just loved that studio. I have a plan to get the lion head symbol tattoo on my forearm at some point, but that's after my Mass Effect tattoo. But yeah, Lionhead Studios would probably be one of the biggest things because I wasn't an overly serious gamer to begin with when I first started out because the consoles I played on were my brother's consoles, and so I was playing on the NES, the 64, the GameCube, and then my older sister, her boyfriend brought the Xbox round, and that was me trying a different system other than Nintendo. And because that was that sort of pillar or key moment in gaming for me, I became like, after that point, all I wanted was an Xbox. And when the PS3 came out, my mum wanted to get one of those for the family, even though it was like $1,000 and the 360 was like $749 in New Zealand. And I was like, I want this console instead. But yeah, Lionhead Studios, I played Fable 2, Fable 3, played everything that Lionhead had actually popped out. And I'm glad that some of the developers are now with Playground Games. But they're always going to... It's so sad. It broke my heart when they closed down. But I'm always going to have that piece there. Always have that nostalgia for them.
Right. Well, the question would actually be, it kind of came back to bite me. I was trying to reword it a little bit, but let's say you got on a flight. This is a hypothetical scenario, like the first one.
Yeah.
And you decide to sleep for the duration of the trip. When you wake up, we like to put as an example, because he's a very well-known figure, Phil Spencer is sitting right next to you, but it could be someone else, someone that you idolize. Is sitting right next to you, and you have 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself. Give us your elevator pitch on who you are and where we can find you.
I'm not really good at this, to be honest. Just being honest out there. So obviously, Red Dead Panda, Xbox gamer since 2009, and find me in Middle Earth on the Gamers Initiative podcast on Elite Gaming Guru's channel. And I love to talk gaming. I'm not really here for the toxic fan wars. I'm just really here to talk gaming. That's my passion. And I'm just excited to play all the new games that are coming into the Xbox Game Pass service now and far into the future. There we go. I hope that was okay.
That was
That's me
actually
winging it.
great. What do you mean? Like
Yeah, that was awesome.
most people get caught like off guard. You actually, I thought you did great.
You passed.
Yeah, you passed.
Yes.
You actually, you're welcome aboard. So we're gonna go to our captain if he's ready, and we're gonna take flight. So, Captain, take it away.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sour's turned on the subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please stow your food and beverages next to your desk, underneath your seat, or in front of you. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. Also, make sure that you've hit that notification bell. We gently remind you that smoking and drinking are not prohibited on this flight. However, pretending like PlayStation's price hikes on services are good for consumers is strictly prohibited. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight panelists. Thank you. Now back to you.
Right. Sourblow got silent.
Back to crazy. Sorry, I got
Oh,
muted.
all right. You got muted. All right. Let me go real quick and shout out this awesome, fabulous chat. Oh, man. Give me a second, guys. Here we go. Back to the XPI screen. So, real quick, this says ready for launch. Vic, what's up, Vic Familia? Rachy, how are you doing, sir? Mr. Dark, which is in Super Mario Land. I hope he actually gets Silent Cypher his shirt that he always wanted. Yes, get him his Super Mario shirt. Please do. The Dusty Uno. What's up, the Dusty Uno G? Maybe Rachy. Did I say hi to Rachy? I think I did. But either way, though, Rachy, what's up, brother? Hey, the Lone Wonder, what's up? Hey, is it Jet or is it hey? Because here in Spanish is hey. I might be confused, but anyways, welcome, Lone Wonder, Malcolm, MX Lax 3, what's up, Malcolm? Keep going down the list. J, maybe, what's up, brother? HD gave me Nate. Hello, welcome. Who else is here? For me to say hi. Let me see. Did I say hi to Dusty Uno? Yes, I did. Sawyer Hopkins. What's up, Sawyer? How are you doing, sir? Let me keep going down the list. Who else is here for me to say hi? Dron, TJ, what's up, brother? Dron, how are you doing? It's Timmy. What's up, Timmy? Woo-wee. Who else is here? Talos, the man with the ray. What's up, Talos? Hey, Mark Smith. Hello. And now back to our captain. And if I did not say hi, just say, hey, you didn't say hi to me, and I'll catch you on later on.
Yep. Make sure you yell at Crazy Louie in the chat if he missed you.
Yeah, just
we'll put him in timeout if he missed you.
What?
How about that? Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah,
Sounds good to me.
What do I do now?
All right. Well, so the first thing we're actually going to talk about real quick today is Red Dead. I apologize because you literally had just told us that you weren't really a big fan of like the console warring and fanboying and stuff like that. But I wanted to let you know something.
I'll still call it out.
Something very bad has happened. The Game Pass dollar deal is over. Microsoft is done as a company. They will not survive. Starfield is a failure, and we're all going to have to sell our systems and buy a PlayStation. Sorry.
Right before Starfield comes out.
Right before Starfield comes out. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, I already subbed to Game Pass Ultimate, and this dollar deal doesn't make a difference to me. I actually think it's kind of going to sound horrible, smart leading into Starfield because they want that engagement and they want people to at least do 14 days on the service. And after that 14 days, you're going to be hooked into it. I think it's been there long enough for those who have been, or not just casuals, but like those who are hardcore gamers and seen it and had the opportunity to buy into the dollar deal for it. And if you really want to play Starfield next week on the 6th, what is the harm in spending a little bit more than $1 on that title for that service to get to play it for a month, for example? I think the whole sky is falling crap, and sorry, it is crap. Sorry,
It is.
that
It is.
fan base who is calling it out, and we all know what the news is out today. Like, they can't really throw shade at all over at Xbox because all they seem to do is talk about Xbox more than they talk about their own games and promoting a positive community or positive gaming environment for PlayStation. They're so focused on their hate of Xbox, and Xbox actually pulling up their socks and getting on with what they're needing to do as a business. That they're completely just focused on anything that's negative, and they're going to call it out. Well, it looks stupid when you're calling it out and price increases is happening on your side. I think there's no issue. Microsoft can choose whenever they want to load out that $1 deal. That's the whole point of it. It is a subscription service, and if they want to push it at any given time, they can roll out the dollar deal. And it was only ever I guess, a temporary measure to bring people into the service and give people an opportunity to try it at a really, really low cost price. It doesn't matter now that that dollar deal is gone because it's still a low cost price to try it for a month to see if your friend has a 14-day trial and then make the decision on whether or not you're going to purchase it for a month after that fact. We're seeing that fan base trade in their Microsoft points to get to either buy Starfield so they can play early access or get a subscription to Game Pass. So they're not as, I guess, as hardline as they say they are because they know that IP is not worth missing. Yeah, I think the whole thing is blown out of proportion. If you were going to sub to Game Pass when it was $1, you would have done it already. And for those complaining about it, go look in your own square, your own space, and see what's happening on PlayStation side with their increase to their subscription service. Because Microsoft's increase to their subscription service, in comparison, is not the same. Theirs is substantially worse.
Ooh, you had to go there. Ooh.
Panda, I gotta say, props to you because you completely nailed that one right off the bat.
Yep.
Without you hit pretty much every point that I was interested in covering, honestly. Because the thing is like you said, yes, this was a dollar deal to get people into the ecosystem in the first place, right? And as time went on, they have the right, and it was literally a promotion to get people in. This is the type of stuff you see in business and marketing all the time. People drop a price to get that foot in the door. They get you attached. They get you interested. It's just like why we always see all these free trials as well, is they want to get you involved because they know that once you experience the ecosystem, you get to play around with it, you're going to be invested because now you have something that you didn't have previously. You have access to things that you're now not going to have if you cancel your service. And it comes at a very interesting time because, like you said, we found out about the pricing increase on Sony's side today. And that's a really bad time for that to land. Starfield was already eating the attention as far as things went anyways, right? Mm-hmm. But then you have this land on the eve of Starfield early access. It's been a rough time for Sony fans, and we see it on those Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, X streets. I find it very ironic that people there pony fanboying and fighting have to be on a service called X. Makes me happy. Um, sorry,
These are
that's
our
a little
streets
petty.
now.
It's a little petty, but I do find it pretty funny.
It's gonna give it to you.
The irony is too sweet. But it comes at a very interesting time, and you nailed it dead on. Is like, you know, yes, they had this deal, they got people in, you get invested in it, you see what's there. It's hard not to want to stay in that ecosystem later on. And yeah, I mean, compared to what the competitor is offering right now, it is the best deal in gaming. It was the best deal in gaming previously, but especially now that they finally have games starting to roll out, that's going to back itself. Like this is the first big AAA game realistically that's releasing on the service that is going to set a ripple and a wave kind of throughout the market. And this is going to make a big deal. Now, a lot of people online, I'm sure you've seen it as well, a lot of people say that Game Pass is going to affect the actual sales numbers, of which we also know that's not true, because as it turns out, it was one of the highest rated selling items on Amazon over the last week or two,
Yes.
cranking insane numbers. So yeah, I think, you know, like you said, this is literally just crap is what it is. But if you were to go online,
We lost you.
You lost your cat too?
Uh,
oh, can you
Oh,
hear
there
me?
you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, a little bit of turbulence up in these up in these airs, up in the air. It's a little cold through here. We have a cold front, and I think the plane dropped a little bit. But yeah, if you were to go off of just what you saw online right now, you'd be convinced between, you know, Starfield having only however many minutes worth of traveling in a straight direction on a planet, um, you know, all these different things that Microsoft is doomed. God
Oh
forbid
yeah.
that they get
It's
rid of
really
their Game Pass
disappointing.
dollar deal after all this time.
It's just disappointing to see that happening.
So sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see the disingenuous folks out there making a fit about it. But Sour, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm very conflicted right now because, that dollar deal going away shows, how consumer Xbox is being, and then, but then, it's kind of weird because, we gotta support the developers, but, now I don't, I don't know which way to go now. And then, Starfield, it's kind of doomed. You can't really land on Jupiter. You got. Nah, jokes aside, I mean, it feels like the goalpost just keeps moving. But what's funny is that, like, every time they move the goalpost, for some reason, it always backfires on them because
Yes.
it's either like something like so dumb that one of their fan base say, like landing on a gas planet, or like, for example,
Oh,
criticizing the image, saying that it looks corny or it looks
Low
bad,
polygon count.
and
Yeah.
then it ends up being an actual real picture. Like, it's hilarious. And now, they criticize the dollar deal going away and it's being, anti-consumer, and then you see their service hiking up on price. So it's like it's almost like they can't win.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, the thing is, and you bring up a very good point, right? Is every time that shade is thrown from one side, especially recently, because let's go back. Let's go back just a few years. Or even last year, realistically. Let's look at Microsoft and Xbox over the last little bit. We had been waiting and waiting and waiting, and there was always the promise that, hey, eventually things are going to come. And Sony was having a lot of fun. Sony fans were having a lot of fun. Well, just like what we've talked about in the past, this change in pace, this shift, this happens almost every generation. right? Like you have 360, where for the majority of the generation, 360 completely trounced Sony into the ground. Why? Because Sony had the hubris and the arrogance to come out and be like, oh, our system's $600. You can't afford it? Get another job, right?
Yeah.
And as the generation passed, things got better. They learned from their lessons because they had made a mistake and they had to correct. Microsoft had led the generation through 360, so then when they came to Xbox One, they're like, TV, TV, TV. And then you had Don Matrick that was like, oh, if you don't like the fact that our system is internet connected at all times and requires a connection, well, we have a system for you. It's called the 360. And it's like, it's always been this back and forth of an arrogance, this hubris where it's like, oh, now that we're the leader, we get to make the decisions and it's not going to affect us. And the thing is now that Microsoft is at a point where they've got so many in-house companies making games and they have a good amount of install base, along with Game Pass and everything else that they have going for them right now, when Sony makes these comments, it feels like when Microsoft had always made comments and then stepped on the rake, right? I mean, Microsoft still proceeds to do it on a regular basis. They'll step on a rake, hit themselves in the face, be like, oh crap, we shouldn't have said that, right? We look at the Xbox Live increase that we saw, like a year ago? And we were all like, you're going to charge us double for this? And it's already a crappy service when we should be getting online play for free anyways on PC. Like, why wouldn't we get it here for free or a cheaper discount? So, yeah, Sony's in a bad spot with it, and the dollar deal going away makes sense. Now, with Red Panda's comment earlier, I do think it could come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to do something around Black Friday or something like that, where they'll bring it back. They'll be like, hey, just a heads up, we got a couple really cool games that came out. You can come in here and you can try them out for just $1. It's literally that handshake at the door to get people interested to try the system. And again, it gets them hooked. It gets them in that ecosystem. And then we go from there, right? And then that person's in the ecosystem. They see 400 games or whatever in Game Pass, plus any of these new releases, and they don't want to leave that ecosystem. But Plume, what's your thought? Do you think the same thing, or do you think it's all doom and gloom for Microsoft? Do you think that, Starfield's going to be a bust once all this is said and done, like what we've been told?
Yeah, no, I think you guys essentially covered all of the main points. Like Red Dead Panda did a great job right off the bat. The whole $1 thing, this is the second time they've removed it. So I agree with you, Sal, and I think this is something they're just going to keep reintroducing at certain points to kind of reinvigorate subscriptions and get people kind of hooked back in when there's something big coming up. Because you sign up for $1, you're going to see instantly there's so much value in the service, and then you're going to start hearing that like avowed's coming out. You're going to probably stay subscribed after you've paid that $1 and then latch on to the full price service. So I think that's what it's all about. I mean, Starfield is out essentially tomorrow, and we have seen what you were talking about earlier. Starfield, I think, is the narrative killer for everything anti-Xbox from the beginning of this generation that the people still try to run with. The narrative Xbox has no games, destroyed. The narrative that you can't put a game into a subscription service and it will cannibalize sales, destroyed. I mean, it's number one on Steam. It's just going to sell insane amounts of full price copies for people who aren't subscribed to Xbox Game Pass. You can't put games on multiple different devices because you won't be able to sell consoles because of that. Again, just try to reverse seeing the uptick in Xboxes being sold. It is the thing that is the great reset, I guess, of Xbox going forward into the end of 2023, end of 2024. So this $1 deal, there's no reason for it to be there. And then we, like you said, we saw the 35% increase in the PlayStation Plus prices. And I don't know if we're going to be talking about that further on, but that to me is it's a subscription service at this point without that increase, it's a good service. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that PlayStation Plus is bad. Like, there's lots of good games in there, but it's, you increase it by 35% without outing any extra value. It makes absolutely zero sense. And my video tomorrow, I kind of have this theory that maybe they're setting themselves up to add some big stuff in there. Maybe there's going to be a first party game that drops in, and when that happens, it'll already be at that higher price point where people won't care about paying that. Like, I'm not sure what they're doing here, or they could just be adjusting for inflation. I don't know. I mean, inflation isn't at 35%, but it's yeah. The $1 deal is a nothing burger going away. It's something they're going to keep using to reinvigorate maybe when there's downtimes in these subscriptions for Xbox Game Pass.
You know, I do want to say real quick, and then Crazy, I'll bring it right to you. But you bring up a very good point, because I was actually listening to Mr. Boomstick's video earlier today. Shout out to Mr. Boom. He was actually talking about the fact that, like, the difference between those tiers doesn't really change. And so I think you're probably on to something, the fact that maybe what they're doing is they're future-proofing some of those higher tiers for maybe some extra additions as time goes on. Be like, oh, hey, with this tier, with this higher tier, you'll actually get day one or something like that. Now, who knows if they'll go to day one this quick, but I would imagine that there's probably going to be some extra added, because it doesn't feel like there's actually that much of a difference between the top two tiers, I think it is, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I think you're onto something with that. I think we could see a change down the road, or even pretty soon, especially, again, reactive to what's going on.
Maybe, and between the top two tiers, I think the biggest difference is the cloud streaming of like the PS3 games and stuff. And we know that they have talked, like, we've seen Jim Ryan come out and they're talking about like expanding out cloud services. They're releasing PlayStation Portal. So maybe they're trying to future proof for a more robust cloud service that will be added on to the highest tier later on, where you're getting PS5 games, first party PS5 games, stuff like that. But we'll see, because we also know, I mean, PlayStation put out The Last of Us 3 times and people bought it at full price, so they can pretty much do anything and people will pay for it. So maybe they're just going to keep it at the way it is, and knowing that people will pay those more expensive prices for the service.
Except, God forbid that Last of Us PC release.
Hey, people still
that was, I think that was worse than Redfall. I'm sorry, I have to say that was a lot worse than Redfall. I mean, I remember
every time I see those pictures, it hurts me, because I feel like that was worse than what we saw in PS1.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I remember what's her name? Not Allie, the girl's name. I forgot her name. But the main character, I remember she looked like Gumby at one point. I was like, is this Gumby?
They all looked like Gumby. In that picture, they all looked like Gumby. It was rough.
It was rough. And the funny thing is, like, nobody made a scandal out of this. Yet nobody called Jim Ryan out of this. I even talked about this, on Monday. I was talking about this on how Sony's not looking at quality control. I mean, look at Forspoken, for example. They what did people do? Oh, they blame Square because Square was the one who made the game. But hey, guess who put that money in? It was Sony. Sony was the one who told them, hey, you're going to put this game on our console. There was this other game that literally failed badly. Two more games, right? You got Wreckfest that came out there first, that failed over there miserably. And then you have, what was that one? I think it was Atlas Fallen? That was from Platinum Games?
No, it wasn't Atlas Fallen, but I know what you're talking about. It was like
Babylon?
No, Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall, yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Babylon's Fall, that was another game that just lasted 1 year on the PS5 and they had to take it down because it did miserably. And nobody is saying, hey, Sony, what are you doing over there? What's going on? Nah, literally, they could just drop everything out there, and everybody's happy. Like, no problem.
I was actually muted. I was going to say the other game was not Wreckfest. It was Destruction All-Stars.
Destruction All-Stars. Yes.
Thank Wreckfest
you
is
so
a
much.
Yeah, Wreckfest is
Oh, sorry about that.
Which, actually, that reminds me. We all need to play some Wreckfest.
I never played Wreckfest.
We should.
And we
Dude,
should.
it's so good.
Well, I
It's so
think
good.
But
they're
Sorry,
sorry, crazy.
Panda, what was that?
oh,
No, I'll
go
let
ahead,
you
man.
finish.
Oh, I was gonna say though, and right now, like for example, this price increase, right? We're jumping on the idea of the whole price increase. Xbox leaving the dollar out, and everybody's like, "Oh no, the dollar," but PlayStation made a price increase in less than 2 years. And why do I mean by a price increase? Right before the PlayStation Plus was a $50 thing, it got a $10 raise a year and 4 months ago for the essential. The extra, which even though it's a new service, right, it's still a plus. It's still a PlayStation Plus. Literally, it got a $40 extra in there, right? And then you got the PlayStation Premium Plus Premium, right, which is a $60 increase. So basically, you're talking about 120, 100, and 60. But a year and 4 months later, we're now seeing another increase of $20 on the essential, which makes it 30 now in less than 2 years. A $75 because they're going to increase 35 on the extra. So basically, it was 40 plus 35. That's 75. And for the premium, it's a $40. So literally, it's like $100 increase in less than 2 years. So my question is, just like Plume said, he has a theory. I've been saying this for a while, and if Jim Ryan's because sometimes I doubt how smart that sometimes like how intelligent can he be, because really Jim Ryan, I'm scratching my head about him because with the PSP thing that he came out is just, oh my god. I don't want to talk about that, but it's like he's given time, he's given time, right? Like for this to get in, for him to get his games day one into the service. That's what I'm seeing. So I'm
It's
exactly like Plume. Like maybe that he's gonna add something, put something in there. Let's see what they're gonna add, because what's funny is they talk about the price increase, yet they're not saying what are they gonna do. I was like, dude, what are you guys are increasing the price, but what are you gonna give us? Oh, we're just gonna add some good stuff to the service, but what is it? Mention it. And what I find funny is I love how and I have to mention companies because Xbox is included in there. I love how Xbox, with the hype of Starfield, they took the dollar thing away. Okay. And I love how PlayStation tried to sneak this in there. Like, yeah, let me sneak this in here. Like,
yes,
nobody can see
yes.
this with all this hype of
That's the other
Starfield.
thing.
Let me
Yeah.
sneak it
No,
in the here so nobody can see it. But hey,
yeah,
sorry, PS. With your fanboys attacking Starfield, I mean, the fanboys on the Xbox side are gonna try to look for something, and hey, they found it. And yes, we've been looking at it and say, hey, what is up with this price increase? That's crazy.
yeah.
It's a give and
That's
take.
it's a great point because we're saying they're doing it at the worst time with Starfield releasing, but I actually think it's the opposite. I think this is the best time to do it because it's going to be drowned out. No one's going to be talking about this price increase after tomorrow. I think people will be, but I think it will be very, very, like, they're going to forget about it fast. Everyone's going to be talking about Starfield, so they're utilizing Xbox kind of to their advantage here. I think it's actually very smart for them to put this increase today.
They know PlayStation gamers and consumers aren't going to call it out. They never call it out. They're so focused on Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's the issue I have with them as a fan base. The very, very, I guess, loud ones in the community who can basically, they're not doing anything to grow their own community in a positive way. All they do is talk negatively about Xbox, and they never call PlayStation out on all the stupid things that they do, all the lies, all the backtracking, anything like that. Yet they will call out Xbox and every little thing, critique them till the cows come home, until their fingers are like they've lost feeling in their fingers from typing on Twitter all day. Honestly, but I think like with the price increase, they're missing a really good opportunity. Say you buy the base game of one of their first party titles, why don't they go as an incentive, like play early, or with this PlayStation Plus tier? You've still got the base game. You've paid for that. Play it early, because that's what I like about the whole Game Pass side of things. Like, around what they've been doing with early access. Like they did that with Forza Horizon
Whereas,
5,
yeah,
and they've done
yes,
that with
Yeah.
this
that's
game. Here is like you get the base game, so you don't even have to necessarily put money down on the base game, but you can pay extra to get early access. And so it's a choice. You're still paying the subscription service for the game, but you can also pay a little bit extra to get early access. And I think PlayStation should put something like early access in there and go like, you've already bought the game, here's early access. And hopefully, if people don't like the game, they might still be able to refund it. I don't know. PlayStation's refund policy is pretty appalling.
because here's the
So
thing, and,
yeah.
and the funny thing is, Red Dead Panda. I totally agree with you. I talked about this before. I said that's something that Xbox. I was really happy they did that. They make you. They give you the option. Hey, I want to play the game early. Oh, you can pay $30, which is a good price. I mean,
Is
that is a good price because I'm already paying for the subscription service. Why don't I pay the $30 and I get a premium access and I play the game 5 or 6 days early and it's not that expensive. It's only $30. Nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that, and I'm happy with it. It's a good price.
Yeah.
It's literally you buying the game pretty much digital,
Yeah.
pretty much, right? But half the price. So what's wrong with that? I remember that, and I mentioned that a long time ago, and now I forgot who I mentioned it to. But he was literally like, "No, you should be able to pay anything." It's like, why shouldn't you be able to pay anything? Because hey, you are paying $50 a month for a service. Why not for early access in the game that is so high? Why not just pay that
Yeah,
thirty
but to
dollars?
to
Nothing
to
wrong with that.
clarify real quick, crazy, you're not paying like for the base game because the base game is on Game Pass. You're basically paying not and you're paying for the premium version of
Yeah,
it, which
just
brings
30.
the early access, but also
Mhm,
bring other stuff.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
Yeah, and
much
on the PlayStation side, you're paying for their subscription for PS Plus, but you're already paying for the base game. So why not put early access in their subscription fee if they're putting the price up? They really need to incentivize and explain their reasoning for the price increase, and I don't think they've done a good job based on what the services offer as at the moment. Yeah.
no, and I do think that that brings us back to kind of what Plume was saying, right? Is the idea of like maybe they're starting to try and future proof it for
Mm.
additions that they're going to put into play, because as we've seen with the last little bit, like Microsoft has had the narrative. Sony doesn't have a lot that's locked in place right now, and that's not a great spot to be. And so maybe, over the last little bit, Sony has been starting to prepare kind of a reactive strategy plan to make sure that they can continue to compete in this generation.
Yep, and they're starting to lose a lot of money with all the messes that's going on. They just still want to talk about it, but they're getting messy. Each and every week, a new mess comes out because again, with the PSP, the PSP porta potty, as I call it, right? Handheld.
Oh, the Q light. Oh,
Yeah, that's what I gotta call it because seriously, they could have reinvented something cool, a new PSP, like how it was when the first PSP came out. You know, that was an awesome system. I remember people talking to me about it. Hey, have you ever used the PSP? I was like, no, but you never played one. And I remember me playing with the PSP, and that was awesome back in the day. So why did they couldn't reinvent the old PSP and do something new with it, especially with all the handhelds that are going on right now that's actually hot in sales? They could have done something cool. And same thing with the PSVR 2. What the hell is going on with the PSVR 2? There's no content for it. People are getting mad about it. It's like people are saying, oh, I have it over here and collecting dust. I mean,
crazy,
what's going on?
crazy. I had so many friends that blasted me for the fact that I thought that the PSVR 2 launch was a rough situation, that was going to be a bad situation, because we look at the first one, right? The
Yeah.
install base on that thing was very minimal considering the amount of consoles sold. The amount of actual headsets was very minimal. Then we looked at this one. What was it? It was a couple months ago. We were looking at it and it ended up being, it was like 275,000 units sold against the console sales, which at that time, I mean, obviously it was different at that point, but it was a negligible percentage compared to what the actual like console install base was. And we look at it now and it's like, where's the support?
Exactly.
Where is the support? and
Where's the
and it
support?
feels like all signs point to this thing just being kind of shelved, right? It's like that was a $550 purchase.
But yeah, $550 purchase. So that means it's 50 more bucks than the CD version of the PlayStation 5. So
No,
literally, we're talking about
wait.
$1,050 for you to get both things. That's insane.
Hey, I purchased it, guys.
I know you did, Plume. I know you
I'm just
did.
kidding. It's a shame though because
The
the
hardware.
tech, the hardware's great. The
Yeah.
hardware's great. From what I've used, it's great. And like Gran Turismo 7 in it is phenomenal. It's very immersive.
Mhm.
I hope they don't shelve it. I really don't. I really hope they don't. But there's nothing big coming out. There are games, but there's nothing big that like is gonna push the headset right now. The other thing I just want to quickly say, because we were talking about the marketing and announcing the price cut. Now, did you guys also see that they started sending out the Spider-Man 2 PS5 bundles to
Oh,
big
yeah.
influencers for unboxing?
Yeah.
Right at the perfect time, which is it's a
It's
funny time to
Starfield,
send it out
yeah.
right before Starfield. The game comes out on October 20th. It's August 30th, and they're sending out the bundles now for unboxing for some reason. I wonder why.
You probably see their fan base talking about it the
Thank you.
whole time, and they're like, "We need to get them talking about Spider-Man again. Stop talking about Starfield."
But why the hell are they going to talk about it? I mean, I'm going to tell you something, guys. Why would you want to talk about Spider-Man when you got these fans playing Starfield? I mean, I don't know if you guys caught Danny Pena's tweet today. I talked about Danny Pena's tweet. Danny Pena said, for the first time in 18 years, and shout out to my brother Danny Pena, lots of love for you, my Dominican brother. In 18 years, first time he's doing a 2-hour long review of a game, which is Starfield. You know what is a 2-hour long review of a game? I mean, literally sitting down, listening to Danny Pena talk about a game for 2 hours. That's how big Starfield is. Danny Pena has a 2-hour video coming out. So you're gonna send him Spider-Man, which is basically a game that for basically if you're gonna complete it's gonna be like 60 to 80 hours, right? You're comparing it to this game, which there's so much stuff to do in this game. I mean, nobody's talking about Spider-Man. They're not gonna talk about it now. They're not gonna talk about it till when that day comes. Yes, they will talk about it.
Well, they're not playing Baldur's Gate 3, so
Yeah, that's another thing. Oh my god! Oh man, Baldur's Gate 3. That was another
that
one.
comes out on the 6th.
They hyped that so much until the news came out. Until the news came out that we found a solution to release the game this year on Xbox. Oh man, that literally killed them right there.
I'm so excited for that game into the year. Very excited.
Baldur's Gate, like you said, like Baldur's Gate has completely dropped off the narrative.
Yeah.
After that occurrence happened, and I feel bad because the thing is like Baldur's Gate is going to be a good game, yes, but the thing is like we all know the reason as to why that game was put on a pedestal the way it was is because it was their answer as a console exclusive, quote unquote, against Starfield. And that's not there anymore because it's been confirmed that Baldur's Gate 3 is also going to be on the Xbox by the end of the year. Now, obviously, we don't have a date for it yet, but the thing is like they made a massive narrative about this. Oh, the Series S is destroying everything. It's a potato. We won't be able to have this game on our systems and stuff because of this situation. And here we are. And now it's announced, and all of a sudden, our friends on the other side of the pond, they're not making any comments about Baldur's Gate anymore.
Nope.
It's strange. I don't know. It's perplexing, isn't it?
Are you telling me they're not going to support the devs?
Well, no, that's why they're buying. That's why they're supporting all of these new PlayStation, like the online tiers and stuff, the service tiers, is because that money will go right to the devs. Clearly, it's not going to go right to Jim Ryan's his cruiser vessel that he can cruise around with on the water all the time, or like it's not going to go to his next mansion. It's going to go to the devs. All that money is going to go to the devs, surely.
You guys want to know something that's not even talked about anymore? And I'm going to mention it. I'll throw it out there. You guys ready for this? Do y'all remember a couple months ago, or was it a year ago, they mentioned this cool awesome PlayStation controller Elite, where you can pull off and put on and do anything you want with the controller.
Oh
But
man.
hey, two
We
hundred
haven't,
dollars. We haven't heard ever again
yeah,
about the
we haven't
controller.
heard anything else from that one, have
No,
we?
that one's
Oh,
went silent. Why did it went silent? Because the battery life was shorter than the regular one, and a whole bunch of things. And hey, guys, we're not here trying to criticize what's happening with PlayStation, because I'm gonna tell you something. I miss Sean Layden. And I've said it before. I miss Sean Layden. Sean Layden was here. This wouldn't be, this wouldn't have happened. He would have done something better. Because seriously, you paying the price of $200 for a controller for lesser battery than the other one just because you can pull off the joystick, put on a cool one. That's nah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man.
yeah.
I'm just not really happy about that. But I'm not trying to throw stones at them. I'm just saying, hey, they need a new leader, because really it's heading for a big mess, and it's gonna blow up in any moment.
Great.
And when it does, oh my god.
Crazy. Now that you mentioned Sean Layden, I
Yeah.
feel like what we're seeing right now, like with Xbox, for example, I feel like Phil Spencer got the generation on the, kind of in the Xbox One, and he kind of like started slowly, like, forming his own, like, his own like ideas into the, the Xbox ecosystem. And this is kind of his generation. Sure, he has had some struggles and stuff, but he's learning in the process. But we see his creative idea. We see that he has a mission, he has a goal, and that's where he's going forward. Now, on the other side, I see it kind of like the other way around, where like Jim Ryan came in, and I think some of the good things we have seen from PlayStation starting the generation was still some of the Sean Layden effect.
Yep. It
And,
still
and I,
is.
I and I think now we're starting to see more of the Jim Ryan. And as this, what's kind of worried a little bit about that is that if we continue to see that trend, what is going to be of PlayStation come next generation?
Yep. That's
Yeah,
what
People,
that's what I'm worried about.
yeah, people forget like Jim Ryan is the guy, and I not most of us don't forget, but he's the guy who's like, who buys a console to play old games? How can you completely ignore your part, like PlayStation's gaming library? What brought you to where you are today? That is just that's really concerning when you're the head of PlayStation and you make comments like that, disregarding everything that got PlayStation to where it is. Like,
Hmm.
no, that's when you know that they don't respect the consumer or the games or the history or anything like that.
well,
And you can
Panda,
see
But,
influences.
but before
how how,
before
how can we resell you the games again?
They're
exactly.
not old anymore. We released them. Here's the 2024 version and the 2025 version.
Yeah, remaster, remake, remaster, like that what's it called? The Last of Us on PC, or the Last of Us remake. When I saw it, I was like, what? You
It'll be the
crazy?
dynamic edition
No,
next. Yeah.
but when I heard that they were gonna make Horizon Zero Dawn remake, I was like, oh my god, no, 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 what's going on? Oh my god! But yeah, again, I'm not trying to troll, but man, I'm getting it gets me aggravated because of all this, right? Because what PlayStation did last generation, this is what we're receiving on Xbox, and really, that I gotta thank Sean Layden for that. I mean, Sean Layden really pushed PlayStation to a way that look what Xbox is now today. And let me tell you something. I mean, so I know we're gonna jump into this later on because we're gonna jump into the an FSR conversation, right? And we also gotta jump on a video that Sourblow posted with Hellblade. Guys, if you guys paid attention to that video, I mean, you could literally hear the crowd shouting because of the video of Starfield. Literally, people were watching that again and again. People were just shouting, going insane. Literally, Gamescom was Xbox Con. It wasn't Gamescom, it was Xbox Con. They literally took over all of that. I mean, this whole week of Gamescom was about Xbox and Starfield and a little bit of Forza, and of course a lot of Stalker, which made me super happy to see those guys there. Really, really happy for them. Really, that they actually could have made and could actually show the game. That is awesome for the guys in Stalker. But man, oh man, look how Xbox took over Gamescom. That's crazy. 325,000 people there. And you can hear the shouting of the people. What? Even the guys that are at IGN that were interviewing other people in the glass, behind the glass, they literally had to tell Xbox, try to keep it down because we cannot interview the people. You could literally hear the people yelling, going crazy because of Xbox. It's insane. I mean, literally, Xbox is taking now the way that like it's starting to roll how we wanted it to roll. The marketing, all that stuff. I mean, we have seen buses, we have seen everything about Starfield everywhere, except here in DR because damn, we don't have nothing. But yeah, but we've seen that. I mean, on Twitter, it's amazing on how they're marketing that game, and it's amazing on how they took over Gamescom. I mean, I was amazed. Literally, hearing the crowd yell, wow, impressive, crazy stuff.
But very impressive.
Yeah,
But crazy. We're gonna move on to another topic, but
go for it.
before that, I actually have something prepared for our guest. She has a friend called the Elite, and I have this little clip that she might want to see.
Ooh, the elite.
Face me in the elite deletion! Delete! 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 Face me in the elite deletion! Delete!
All
Delete!
right.
Delete!
Delete!
You need to send me
Delete!
that. You need to send me that.
Delete!
I need to grab the audio and add that. Add that. Oh, that's great. I love it.
I heard you. Shout out to Web Dave. He did an interview to you, a great interview. And as soon as you mentioned that you have that going on, I immediately thought of that the broken Matt Hardy with the delete, and I was like, I have to do a little clip of that.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh.
All
love
right.
it.
Well, moving on to our next topic, we got Lies of P replayability. So we got some information on Lies of P. It has a design with replayability in mind, and players are encouraged to play in multiple times to complete the experience. The game will have a lion system inspired by Pinocchio, and the consequences of your lies will determine the ending. So while
So,
there are, oh, sorry, what was that?
so basically, your nose is gonna get bigger in the game.
That I don't know, but you will have three different endings in Lies of P, and the director recommend playing until the very end for the full experience. So, that's actually pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys were able to read on the whole interview with the director of the game, but this game looks it looks very impressive, especially for being an indie studio, and that basically I didn't know about the studio, and
Wait, it's launching on Xbox? What? This is
Yes,
news to me.
yeah. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass.
oh wait, but I thought IGN didn't they didn't notify that. All I saw was PC, PlayStation. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, this game is coming day one to Game Pass, and I don't know. Let's start with you, Panda. Are you first of all, are you a Souls fan, and are you excited for Life of P? What do you think of everything you've seen so far?
I
So
am
far,
a Souls fan, but not overly a Souls fan. I think the game looks really, really good. And I like the idea of games are encouraging you to have multiple playthroughs, especially when that whole one and done type mentality with the single player type story. And I think that it's really important in order to be able to experience as a whole. If they change it up for you and make it worth playing again, that's really important. There'll be people who just play it once and that's it, and then there'll be the ones who play it again and again and again. It's not going to be a game I'm going to play though. I'll probably watch someone play it because there are other ones that I am more interested in playing. But I think, like I said, it's important. Like if we keep getting the same stock standard approach for games, there's no innovation, and I think indie developers are the ones leading innovation when it comes to games like this. And so, encouraging people to play it more than once, encouraging people to enjoy the title and talk about it, and just word of mouth. We're going to hear it from other gamers about their opinions because I think it was playable on the show floor at Gamescom from memory. Was it like a demo? Something was played for Liza
There
P.
was a demo. There was a demo you could download too that everyone has been
Oh,
able to play.
everyone could
So
play it.
yeah,
So hopefully that got people excited for the title because I have lots of friends who are massive Souls fans, so they will definitely play it and let me know what it's like. But kudos to them for giving people a reason to go back and play that game more than once.
Yeah. I have a friend that he's very excited for this game. He's actually more excited for this game than Starfield. So he's a Souls fan. But one of the things that I do like and I'm very interested to see is they're innovating with something different. The whole like lion system. That's
Mm.
kind of a cool idea. I always like when that's something I like from indie developers. They kind of take risks. Like for example, look at the medium. I always think of that. Having two two worlds render at the same time. I think it still hasn't been done, or at least I haven't seen any other game with that. So that's kind of cool that they added that. Lou, you
What's up?
you play the heck out of Elden Ring,
Mhm.
and I believe you played the demo of this, didn't you?
To be honest, I had it installed, but I have not tried it. But I will try it because I was busy with Red Dead. I'm sorry, man. To be honest, I forgot about
Crazy.
it. Hey, sorry about that. I just been busy. I've been busy.
No,
But
you're good.
I,
You're good. But from what you've seen, like, well, does this game excite you? Or are you gonna play it day one? What do you want to say about life?
when we go to Souls game, do they excite me? Do I have fun with them? Yes, I love them to death. They are such fun games. But the thing is, this game is releasing in September, which
Your
if I
niece is
was,
not there.
which if no, it's not. No, but no going with the knees. No, that's on you, Sarah. We know you use your son to get better Halo kills, and we know Shaddai sometimes to do cool moves. He gets his daughter to do that. We know that. And I hope Shaddai does hear me, but who cares? But either ways, though, like I was saying, I love Souls games, but hey, like I said, I wanted to play Armored Core, but I did not get into Armored Core because I thought Armored Core was coming out in June, and I said, this if it's coming out now, I'm gonna wait till later. Same thing with Liza P. I'm gonna have to wait till later to play it because seriously, Starfield is here, guys. I mean, what else is there gonna be? What else are we gonna play besides Starfield? We're gonna be so busy
Yeah.
playing that game. It's
Oof.
gonna be hard for you to let go and say, "Oh, let me go play Liza P." Now, if Liza P is like a 20-hour game, I could be like, "Okay, cool," but
Gonna
yeah.
play Spider-Man 2.
Oh, that's a game. That's a game I'm gonna see. Pretty much, I think till next year because man, because after I'm done with Starfield, I'm gonna jump into Lords of the Fallen. Lords of the Fallen looks wicked, awesome. And
I
after
can.
Lords of the Fallen, I'm going to Alan Wake, and after Alan Wake 2, right? After Alan
oh
Wake
man, there's
2,
so
I'm going to
much.
Liza P.
There's so many
Exactly.
games.
There's so many games. There's so many games. People tend to forget. I mean, I don't know what Silent's gonna do, but Silent's gonna. I think Silent's gonna have a spaceship parked right next to his car within Forza because he's gonna either be landing on Forza Motorsport and take a couple drives and probably go back to his spaceship in Starfield. I mean, it's gonna be insane.
It's gonna
Mortal
be rough.
Kombat 1 a week
And
after too.
yeah, Mortal Kombat 1
Oof.
too. That was another one too. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, there's so many games coming out, and they are coming out in a moment where one of the biggest games is launching, right? This literally is
And
gonna be like the whole February situation with Elden Ring. When Elden Ring came out, all the games got silent. That's what's
So
gonna
many
happen.
games. So many topics.
Yep.
I just want to ask, since there's a few more topics I want to touch. Do you, the silent plume? Do you guys want to add on to Life of P, or should we
Rise
continue?
of P, not Life of P.
Oh, Lies of
I
P.
played.
Yeah.
I'll just say I played the demo for a bit, and it's. I think it's going to be a great game from the release, and the atmosphere and everything. The combat was fun. The atmosphere was definitely something that I'm interested in checking out because it has like that Pinocchio like whimsical stuff, but it's like in a dark setting.
In a
So it's
dark.
like pretty cool what they've done there. So, and from what you described there from the developer interview, I feel like the replayability is going to be awesome to see just how people end up at the end of the game. So I am looking forward to it. It's just it's unfortunate it's coming out in September, like Lou said.
Yeah, because I'm
Which
gonna
is
say
crazy,
something.
right? That we're complaining about games coming out now, and then last year we were complaining about delays. So like gamers, yeah, they can never win, right?
They could ever win, because here's another one that has me hyped up. RoboCop. RoboCop is gonna come out now in September. It silently moved it to November.
Yep.
That's another game.
Yeah, smart.
It's real smart on them because that's actually a good point. Because why 2 months of playing Starfield, you probably say, hey, let me go jump on another game. That's actually a smart move. I agree right there, 100% with them moving that game to November. So happy they did. So that's another game that's got me hyped. But like I said, so much things to play. Dear Lord, so much things.
Yeah. You know what's awesome though, Lou?
Are we going to the FPS 3.0?
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
We got a announcement from AMD, presentation that FSR 3 is coming, and it's not only coming to PC, but it's also coming to game console. So we are going to be able to benefit from double the frame rate, sometimes even triple the the FPS. Which I really hope that Xbox starts using their tools, because it has become a meme that where are the tools, when are the tools coming, and unfortunately not all the games are taking advantage of these tools. And I think that's something that's why they have the whole, or it had at least the whole parity policy between the Series X and Series S. But up to now, I guess most developers, they haven't been using these. And at the end of the day, I think it's on Xbox, because they have to show with their own games, you know, that these tools do work and they do make a difference. So I'm gonna go straight to our guest again, which she has a lot of knowledge on building PCs, and I'm sure she knows about fidelity effects, super resolution 3, and all that. And I want to know what she thinks about you know these tools that unfortunately hasn't been used. Like, we've seen games that maybe have one or two, and I think I lost count of how many tools Xbox announced at the start of this generation.
RDNA 2, right? Thank you. I was I know there's been rumblings of there needs to be a mid-gen refresh, and I think that is short-sighted in my opinion. Developers haven't had an opportunity to take full advantage of the feature set. We haven't been confirmed as to one game that's using velocity architecture, for example, but I think it's just really, it's sad to see that these developers might not have the capacity or the time to optimize a game because they have these deadlines. The publishers are like, push out this game, and they have to kind of look at what can they do at the time to be able to have this game ready for launch. And that's why we're seeing, I think, disparity between like PlayStation versions versus Xbox versions. Again, the PlayStation version is just they're only optimizing for one system, whereas you have to split your optimization teams on the Xbox side and optimize for the Series X and the Series X. The parity clause, though, from my understanding, that's just game features rather than some of the actual feature sets of what the hardware can specifically do, which is why you see some games on the Series X launch with ray tracing and the S doesn't launch with ray tracing. But I don't I expect like the first party developers to definitely take advantage of that, and I'm really hoping that FSR 3.0 that AMD has just talked about is going to be integrated into Starfield at some point to hopefully be able to push out a 60 FPS patch. Because I think, as great as Todd Howard wants the game to be in itself, 30 FPS for me is just not ideal for my gaming experience. I talked about why I haven't touched Redfall at all. I'm going to play Starfield because I've been playing some 30 FPS games to try and get back to being used to it, but it's a really jarring experience and it makes me feel very motion sick when I start playing at 30 FPS because I play most games at 60 or 120 FPS. And we know that some of these engines aren't necessarily able to take advantage. They don't have the feature sets to be able to utilize all that RDNA 2.0 has to offer. Yes, it's nice that they have that set system where they can go, these are the specs and we can optimize based on that. But then with the games launching on PC, they have to take into account the scalability of the engine, the scalability of the specs and the feature set that they're wanting to put into that game. And so compromises will be made, and then they've got to look at what do we want to deliver out for all these, the product that they want to deliver for all these consoles, and they really have to kind of finalize those and really focus on hitting what they need to hit. And as a result, we're just seeing the Xbox Series S and even the Xbox Series X not pushing out what they should be able to push out. Definitely at this point in the generation. I can't wait to see what Gears 6 does. You just know what they're going to be doing with Unreal Engine 5. The Coalition is so good at using Unreal Engine, and we saw what they helped with the Matrix demo. I don't think the Matrix demo would have performed as well as it did on the PlayStation 5 without the Coalition coming in there. The feedback they've been providing Epic around processes and even some of the ways that they do their LOD management or even some of the materials that they have for applying them has all been down to feedback from this development studio testing it. Even like Hellblade, what they've done in that space with facial animation and what we saw at, what was it, Tokyo Game Show? Was it Tokyo Game Show? I'm trying to think which one where we saw that live demo.
That was in E3 the last time they showed like a video.
No, it wasn't E3. It was
I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was
wasn't E3
for developers.
Yeah, it was Unreal.
GDC.
GDC. There we go.
Yeah.
We aren't seeing what these consoles are fully capable of, and I think part of that is resources with the developers. Part of that is because, like I said, the engines aren't necessarily built to take advantage of them fully. But we're seeing more and more feature sets being added to these and built onto the engines. So I think maybe in about a year or 2 years' time, we're probably going to start seeing games realizing the potential of the hardware. We're not quite there, and I know that whole where's the tools? The PlayStation 5, I still feel like isn't even being fully utilized either. And I even think that whole smart shift between drawing power away from the CPU and putting it in the GPU and vice versa isn't necessarily the right idea. That makes me worried about, like, I look at Final Fantasy 16 and how what happens when you go into combat and it locks I'm trying to think of the word for it. It locks whatever the frame rate is and reduces the resolution, and I feel like that's part and part around Smart Shift and what they've done in that space. I still really don't like the idea of Smart Shift from AMD. Yeah. I see so many things that could potentially go wrong. But yeah, there's lots to talk about, and you could talk about it till the end of time around what these systems are capable of, but I really don't think mid-gen refreshes are required at this point because I haven't seen my money's worth on what these systems are even capable of. You know, the Series S, more powerful than the 1S. More should be able to deliver a lot more than it is. Even Larian Studios talking about split screen. Yes, Microsoft came in and put devs in to help, but knowing that they had to spend more time optimizing that particular version to enable split screen, they didn't give themselves enough time, and that's why it wasn't going to be available. And because of that parity clause around a specific gameplay mechanic, well, not gameplay mode, sorry, that's what was holding it back. And I'm glad that they've said, hey, in this instance, the feature's still on its way, or the mode's still on its way. It's not going to be available at launch, but you'll be able to eventually play it on the Series S once they work out whatever in the background needs to be worked out to get that working on that particular system. The system's capable of doing it, no doubt about it. They just have to spend more time and effort and more resources, and their focus is launching that game that's already launched on PC. They've now got a focus of launching it on PlayStation, any hot fixes that they need to do, and then their focus is Xbox end of the year. So they've got to prioritize, and we as gamers forget about that when it comes to how these games get developed. And so do publishers as well. They really look at the money side of it, and they forget that consumers, we're like elephants, we don't forget. And when a game launches and it's crap, in a horrible state, we want our money back. We didn't pay for that. That was not what was advertised to us when we bought it. So, yeah, I could talk forever and ever about it, but I want to give other people's opinions. Yeah, my thoughts are the tools, yes, they're not where they need to be. The engines that the games are not where they need to be. And the developers need more time to be able to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. Personally, I think with the whole smart shift and the PS5, I feel like that feature would be great, like for a handheld, where like you kind of want to manage your basically manage how much the system consumes. But for like a hardware that's always going to be connected, you're kind of locking the developer to take advantage of one or the other. Like, like you can't go, a lot of people don't understand, you can't go like, you can't fully utilize the CPU and the GPU at the same time because it either boosts one or the other.
That's why it makes sense on a laptop, why Smart Shift is on laptops.
Yes.
Because, it's battery based versus PlayStation always being plugged into a power source. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me it didn't make any sense, but let's get.
Oh man, y'all listening?
What was that crazy?
Y'all talking like this? I feel
smart.
Smart. Hell no.
Feel like a goat on a desert island out in the middle of the Pacific.
Pretty much, yeah. That's how you feel. You're talking about PS.
No,
Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm excited for it, but I definitely I know what Panda's talking about, right? Like obviously, and we heard about this early on, was the reports that the SDKs and everything that Microsoft sent out to developers, they were very short term, right? Like they had just started adding some of those features. So when you look at it, you look at PlayStation, everything that they had at that point was more concrete.
More mature,
yeah, and Microsoft was not at that point yet. It was premature, if you will. But the thing is like the benefit of these different tools that are coming, it looks like there's going to be about a 2 to 3 times increase in performance from what it sounded like, which if you factor that out, right, if you're playing a game, you look at something like Starfield, right, which Todd Howard even said that thing usually lands sitting around a 60 frames per second is what he said for consoles, but they wanted to lock it in to make sure that they had consistency. Those were his words. Now, if you had something like this implemented into that place, right, and you put that in there, you could bump that up and you could potentially have a higher frame rate and be sitting around like a 60 and be more comfortable in that situation without any worries about drops. So the biggest question that I always have, because like all these tools, all these SDKs and stuff, like it's great. The question is, how long are we going to see this fully implemented, right? Because usually it's really cool to see the tools, but the question is when. When are we going to see these tools implemented? But whenever it is, it looks like it's going to be a substantial increase for both the S and the X. And it sounds like pretty much every graphics card in general is going to see this benefit if it utilizes those tools.
Yeah.
So that'll be really good just in general, like across the board. It's not just a console specific thing, it's across the board, which will be really good for, you know, everyone involved. That'll make it so it's not going to be as demanding for someone on a regular system. You don't have to go out and buy a ridiculous system just to get these things to play at a decent frame rate and decent quality. Like that's I think that's the thing that we've hoped for years and years, is every time we see these new features, something like bump mapping comes to mind for me, right? Is like I look at something like Doom 3 or I look at something like Fear back in the day, where they started implementing these new tools and they bounced to a different mapping system. And it's one of those things where it's like it was great for people who had a graphics card that could handle those specific features, but everyone else had to sit and just wait in the wings until it was available. But once it was available, it made a broad variety of games playable for the masses. And so I think that's the thing, is like, is once these tools actually get into play for everyone, it's going to be a really good time for everyone in general, because it's going to reduce the workload that's on the console or that's on the actual system when they're playing these games. I think that's great. It's a win.
Yeah, I think that once these tools, they start using these tools, we're gonna see a jump. Maybe not like people are expecting to see like more realistic graphic quality and all that. But what I do think is we're gonna see more like of a jump, like in AI, in the NPCs and all that, and
Physics.
and in the
Hopefully.
physics and all that. Exactly, hopefully. And I think tools like FSR3, it's gonna help more for the performance in order to like balance that out a little bit, because we have seen that these games, it has been harder in order to maintain like stable frame rate, stable performance, etc., and the resolutions. But hopefully, with the tools that you're able to do that. Now, Silent Cypher wants to know, when are these tools going to come out? The perfect person to ask. Wait, what's going on? I hear something. The perfect person to ask is Plume, our
Me?
insider.
I thought you
Plume,
were gonna ask
when
me.
are we gonna get this? No, I was just playing. Like, uh, what can you add about the FSR?
I thought
You
you were gonna
do
ask
know
me.
a lot about the whole.
Yeah, so I think the feature's great. Like I think if it does get utilized in games, it'll obviously help. But I don't think the question is like, are these things good or are these things bad? It's just when and if, like you said, are they ever going to be used? I think Baldur's Gate 3 shines a huge light on what is actually going on. I don't think this is just Larian. This is probably the majority of developers where they just don't have enough time or resources for being able to implement these tools into their games, and they have to hit a deadline to release them, right? And these games are huge. They're coming out like huge scopes. These are probably things that aren't on the top tier of their list when they're developing it. So I think that kind of shines a light on it. So it's a question of when and how will these devs get a grasp of these tools to be able to implement them into games seamlessly, where it's not like sucking out resources in other places. And that's the $1 million question, right? Because generally what we see during console generations, if you just look historically, is that we don't it takes all the way literally to the last couple of years before we actually see developers being able to utilize the tools that are available properly to the full extent on the consoles, right? And from an Xbox perspective, I think they just got to really grow that ATG team and make sure that they're sending those developers to more places. Because even with Starfield, Todd Howard put out a memo or a internal, I guess it's a memo, internal whatever email to everybody today, and I guess it got leaked or it came out, and he specifically talked about how even for Starfield, the 30, he doesn't say 30 frames per second, but we know it's 30 frames per second on console, how important the ATG team was to get the game running. And he's saying this is the best performing game that they've ever created. So I feel like that's a huge thing that Xbox needs to continue to utilize. They obviously sent them over to Larian. But on top of that, the biggest question I have is Unreal Engine 5 and how important this will be for that, for FSR 3.0. Because we're seeing, like, I'm playing Immortals of Avium right now, and it's 720p, 60 FPS. That's where it's running at upscaled, right? And it's in Unreal Engine 5. So maybe Unreal Engine 5 is too taxing right now, or they just haven't been able to grasp it to give us like the native at least 1080p 60 frames per second for these games that are going to be coming out in that engine. We all saw the Matrix demo and how incredible that was. Now think about that expanded out to a huge open world and huge scope. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for developers to be able to get these games running very well with that engine, but we'll see. Maybe this is just the beginning. They're just getting their feet wet, and they need to understand how everything works better. That's kind of what my take. So it's impossible to know when they'll utilize these tools.
Yeah, that brings us to our final topic, and
Wait, you're not gonna ask me?
we're good with your expertise. Good,
Wait.
crazy.
Crazy Louie, should we put our power supply in the water so that way we can have a hydroelectric power supply?
Wait, let me answer this, guys. Let me answer this. Give me a chance. Ask me. Seriously, give me a chance.
Go ahead then. Go
Louis,
ahead.
PC Guru Louis, let us know how this works.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's
We're waiting. We're waiting. Blow our socks off.
Okay, so I got a valid point with this, right? I remember in 2020 read an article on how developers were not going to be able to be utilizing these tools to like a certain point because it was a bit expensive, right? We all know that pandemic hit, right? Once the pandemic hit, it was pretty hard for them to sit down, get the learning curve with what's going on with the gaming world, and all this stuff because literally these consoles came out pretty advanced. I mean, we saw this console coming out with a 2.1 HDMI feature, which literally a year later the TVs with 2.1 HDMI feature came out like pretty much a year later. There was only one, and it was I think the LG CX. Am I right? Right? That was the TV that came out with that feature. But then like a year later, pretty much all the TVs came out with the HDMI 2.1 and all this stuff, all this advancements and all the crap that needed to come out. But the question is, when are these guys going to sit down and actually utilize these tools? And I hope that now, with all the updates and everything that the consoles have been putting out there, and giving them better access to sit down and analyze better the console, sooner or later, these guys will be able to utilize this 100% at a cheaper price, right? That's what we hope for, because it's that article that I read said that it was pretty expensive for them to use it. I do not know why, but it was pretty expensive for them. But I just hope that now, and right now, since we're not right now in mid-gen, we're getting into 2024, we're right now heading into mid-gen with this generation, that they finally sit down, utilize these tools, and get these games up and going just the way we want it to be. Because hey, look at Fortnite. Fortnite looks amazing now on Unreal Engine 5. I mean, we would love to see all the games look like Fortnite in Unreal Engine 5. So yeah, let's see how these guys will do. And basically, another thing, once these tools starts getting used, is when the consoles usually start selling a lot more. This is like the moment where people go out and set off to buy more consoles, because they stopped making games for last gen consoles like 3 years in, something like that. So yeah, so let's see what happens. Did I answer right, or am I?
There's no right or wrong answer.
Crazy.
It's just your opinion.
Crazy. We were talking about the Super Nintendo. I don't know what you're on about, but
Do we know if any of the games that have been out since launch are using multi-threading in the CPUs yet? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
think so.
Probably on PC, but
You
I don't
see,
think on
Well,
console.
now that's the time
Yeah,
out for Lou, because
because
I
on
don't know what y'all
PC,
talking about.
on PC you can play stuff like you can take advantage of stuff like that. Like I would imagine something like Control, where they've got a very broad broad use of those features and stuff. Like you look at the ray tracing and all the stuff that they use on the PC side versus the console side, there's probably multi-thread happening on something like that
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
quality and everything, but not
I think
on the
games
console side. I don't
already
think.
in development prior to the systems weren't. Hopefully,
Yeah.
games being made from the ground up now should. Then you'll get some better performance games from
Yeah.
the CPU.
That'll help.
Yeah.
That'll help a lot.
But
See,
I feel even on PC, you know, even the games that do take advantage of multi-thread, I thought we will see like a higher at you know, like advancement on that, but
Just hasn't gotten there yet. It's I think as much as we don't want to constantly use it as an excuse or a reason or whatever, the last few years have obviously caused a bit of a damper in the progress as to where we thought we were going to be versus where we are.
yeah, because it's amazing. These consoles, they literally said we're gonna get you games in 4K native 60, right? That's what
Crazy.
that was their selling point for them, right? But what
Oh,
are they?
okay,
hold on,
that's
crazy. Hold on.
What are they?
Are you saying that you're buying the marketing spiel that a company sold you? Because if that's the case, then your Xbox Series X also is going to start eating monsters for breakfast.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you an example because
Man,
literally, for them to get to 4K is a hassle, right? I remember when they were trying to deliver you 4K 120, and I was like, oh my god, these guys to design a game
that's
in 4K is
okay.
insane.
Well,
4K 60.
crazy.
crazy.
Would it
We have
blow
a
your mind if the PS5 specified that it can do 8K?
Yeah, I
PS5
remember.
Pro,
Yeah, and then
they're
the Series
saying
X too.
8K.
Remember?
Saying there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of crap that people throw out into the ecosphere just for the sake of it because
Yep.
it's a good buzzword. It sounds great when someone's buying a system.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on occasion, like shame on me, I expected the X was going to do more than what it was. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten to the point where they've proven that proposition.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was marketing speak.
before we end, XBI don't want to sell themselves short and they don't want to false advertise. So I do want to know, at least from our guests, what is the future of, you know, Xbox after Starfield? What will we see next? We know, of course, Forza Motorsport is coming shortly, and we seen the Avowed. It was announced 2024. We saw Hellblade, but what are you expecting to see, Red Panda, in the future, and what do you want from Xbox games going forward?
I think I'm really excited for South of Midnight from Compulsion Games. That game looks stunning the way they showed, so I really hope that they keep that aesthetic moving forward. I've been excited for Hellblade 2 since they announced it at the Game Awards in 2019. The way that showed was so impressive, and then everything else about it. I've been watching the Dev Diaries, so I'm really excited for that for 2024. Avowed, I am excited for Avowed because I really love Obsidian and they make great games, and I don't really have any qualms about how it looks aesthetically. It's a fantasy game. They can choose however they want it to make it look. It's their decision, and if you are a true gamer and you enjoy that style, you'll give it a go and actually give a game a fair shake. I am really excited for Fable, as I mentioned, but I think I'm most excited for the games that aren't announced. There are so many studios working on titles that we don't even know what they're working on, and you can just see that the future is so bright. There is this extra, I don't know, I can't really describe it, but like, excitement in the air, knowing how many games or how many studios Microsoft has in comparison to where they were at in 2017 before they started announcing acquisitions, to now, and even with the ABK deal coming on board, there's a multitude of IPs that are available for them to utilize at any given point. And I think some of those IPs, it's a travesty that they haven't seen titles in a very long time. And yes, we all want new IPs, but sometimes old IPs, even rebooting of an old IP, is just as good as a new IP, as long as it's doing it justice. That's where I'm at. I think the next 5 years are going to be amazing, especially with, you just know that the floodgates have opened when they're on that precipice. Like, once Starfield is available, the games are just going to keep rolling out. And then we've got all the third-party games. Like, I'm really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Mirage, hopefully bringing it a little bit back to AC2 for me, with a mix of maybe Origins in there. But I'm really looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm a massive D&D fan for tabletop games. And I'm also really excited to see what PlayStation's, I guess, I can't think of the word for it, but their plan is for the next how many years, because I can't see their roadmap, and I really want to see what all of these companies are doing to compete with each other, because competition is king, and we've heard it till the blue in the face telling us that they wanted Xbox to compete. Xbox is competing, but now they're like, don't compete so much. But part of that is also seeing like competition, that is from more than one side, and PlayStation now needs to really show what their roadmap is moving forward into this generation, because you can see Microsoft's roadmap, and it's really bright, and there's lots of games coming, and there's a lot of incentives to really go and get into that ecosystem, whether it's on PC, whether it's on console, whether you're playing it on the cloud through your TV or on your mobile phone, or even streaming it from your laptop if you need to. There's just so much available as a gamer that I feel like we're quite spoilt for choice now that that roadmap that Microsoft has been working on for the last how many years is finally coming to fruition, and we're going to see the fruits of their labor. And as a gamer, that is exactly what I want to see. I want to know that the floodgates are opening. I want all those games to be on their way. So yeah, probably most excited for South of Midnight though. That game looks so cool from what I've seen on that first showing of that game.
Yeah, Red Dead Panda, you nailed it in the head. Like, it's a great time to be a gamer. Like Crazy Luke always says, competition gets the best out of the gaming companies,
Yep.
and that's what we want at the end of the day. But unfortunately, it's been great, but we do gotta land the plane. So I'm going to pass it on to our Captain Crazy, so he can land the
No.
plane.
What have to end it? We're having so much fun. It's such a great discussion tonight. It's having so much fun. We don't have
Since when
to.
is he the captain?
Well,
Yeah.
he's the.
I've talked so much,
I,
and I haven't heard from all of you this whole time, so I feel bad.
no, you're
No,
good.
no.
We,
That's it. We sit here and listen to each other talk all the time.
yes.
This is the benefit for us. We get to listen to someone else's take, because we all sit here and BS with each other all the time. So it's always nice to have a guest that has opinions. And honestly, like I said, like early on, you came in with like full-fledged, full thought out ideas and opinions on the questions, and I appreciate that. Like, it's always cool to see other people's opinions on the situation.
Yeah. Also, to add real quick, for any guest that we bring to XBI, that's including you, we like to make the episode. It's about the guests. It's about
Yeah.
hearing what the guest has to say, and you brought so many great points.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a lot of fun tonight, seriously. And I would like to start by thanking Red Dead Panda for joining us tonight. It was really fun having you on this episode. You gave us straight opinions, and man, just hearing you talk about CPUs, GPUs, and all FSRs and all that stuff, literally, I don't even know what that is. I mean, like I said again, it took me 10 hours to put in a power supply inside my PC. So hey, don't look at me bad, man. I was accidentally unplugging stuff from the motherboard, so I had to
Just
basically.
look
Putting a
at
power
just look
supply.
just look at his cable management. Let's get rid
Dude,
of
Yeah.
that.
I was popping Tums and Pepto Bismol as I saw your responses. You were stressing me the heck out while you were building that computer.
Yo, you were stressed. Can you imagine me? I had never built nothing like that in my life,
No,
and man,
no.
I grabbed the paintbrush and I was like cleaning everything out with the paintbrush. I was like, and then I was like, oh, should I wipe this with with Lysol, wipes? And I was like, nah, not a good idea.
Oh
Probably,
my
Oh
god.
God.
but then it said it's just the paintbrush. So literally got all the dust off. It made it look really nice and clean, and yeah, it was a mess though. It took me 10 hours, yeah, because I unplugged a lot of stuff from the motherboard by accident, like I said. But hey, I got it working at least, pretty much.
Pro tip: take a photo before you touch it, so you know where to put things back afterwards.
That's what
Yes.
that's what happened. I forgot to do that.
That's 100%. Okay, they give you instruction manuals with the motherboard, but you always take a photo of your motherboard beforehand because that instruction manual does not always read the same.
Can you imagine once I put my PC liquid cooling in it?
No,
No,
No.
that's not a
no,
good
Please
and
idea.
it
don't.
gives me anxiety
Please
just
don't.
hearing liquid cooling
Just-
on your motherboard.
Just use fans. Don't use liquid.
Okay. But anyways, Red Dead Panda, so awesome to have you here. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Thank you again for having me on. It's been awesome. And I really appreciate being offered an opportunity to be a guest on the show. And shout out to the chat and a few people who I regularly touch base with. But you can find me on Twitter or X at Red Dead Panda. And there's a number 1 after there. I do have a YouTube channel, but I am working on some content in that space to kind of bring that back to life. But you can find me on the Gamers Initiative podcast on Elite Gaming Guru's YouTube channel. And I do that with Elite Gaming Guru and Ashtray Gaming. We do that technically every Friday, which I think is 5:30 p.m. Eastern, which is Saturday for me at 9:30 a.m. New Zealand time. But yeah, every week we're doing a show this week. I don't know why, because all I want to do is play Starfield. But yeah, come and say hi.
All right. And again, thank you for joining us. It was such a fun episode hanging out with you. Really, you're always welcome here. Real fun. And speaking about fun, our big Plume, yeah, our Dominican coach baseball player, Howard. Please tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
First of all, Panda, it was great having you on. My channel, I do daily videos and I talk more than enough. So I like coming on here and just listening to everybody's opinion. So you had some great points on all the topics. So thank you for that. You can find me on X at the Big Plume and on YouTube at Plume Network.
All right. And now our sexy, handsome captain. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Crazy, you're too kind. I'm not that sexy. Also, I'm not bald. It's a choice. It's a shaved head.
I know. I know. But we
Red
know
Dead, thank you.
we know what we call you sexy. Remember Sourblow? Oh,
Yeah, we don't talk about them. Yeah. Anyways, Panda, thank you so much for coming to hang out. Obviously, we've podcasted together a couple times over over the last year or so. But thank you so much for coming to hang out and deal with our shenanigans. And yes, for anyone that's out there that's listening right now, like she said, she's got more content that's going to be coming for personal channels. She's kind of reworking that. So make sure that you listen to Games Guru, and also make sure that you've got that notification bell highlighted on her channel, so that way when she starts doing that content, you'll be notified. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to deal with our shenanigans and hanging out with us. It was awesome. Like Plume was saying, it's always nice to hear someone else's take, because we literally just spew crap into the air and listen to each other to see if we're going to make a comment that matches up or not. So it's always nice to hear someone else's opinion. But yeah, as far as where you can find me, good Lord, I keep saying this, I feel like, but you'll find me on Twitter again here soon. I've got some content I have to post that I have not posted. I've been a little bit delinquent, I guess is a good word for it, as far as posting stuff on there recently. But keep an eye out, because I've got a few items that are going to be going up there, hopefully in the next week or two. Besides that, though, you will find me on Mr. Boomstick's channel on Double Barrel Gaming on Friday morning. We're going to be talking about our first impressions about Starfield this Friday. Should be a good time, so make sure that you swing by, hang out with us. Make sure you show some love in the chat. Give me some grief in the chat, just so I know you're there. It's always cool to see familiar faces when I'm on the show. And besides that, you can always find me as Silent Cypher pretty much across all social media. Find me on Xbox if you want to play any co-op games, if you want to play Forza or anything like that. I'm always around. If I don't answer immediately, don't get offended. I often at times have my notifications off because I watch a lot of movies as well. But I will try and get back to you as quick as possible.
All right. And now our dear buddy Sourblow, our Lionel Richie man. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Well, you can find me, of course, here Wednesday, but you can also find me on Twitter or X, Sourblow18. Not on YouTube for now. I'll try to fix that. And then you can also find me on Xbox International en Español, which is in Spanish, with Eternal Shaddai, ASCAP Gaming. It's every Friday at 7 p.m. So if you speak Spanish, head over there. And to our guests, thank you again so much for coming. It's been pretty fun having you here. And you have to help us. We got to get Silent Cypher, and we got to play some Halo Infinite. We got to get him playing again.
I'm up for that. I love Halo, so keen.
Yes, let's go.
I would love to see Silent Cypher play Halo with us. I mean, that would be the day.
What about
Seriously.
you, Crazy? Where can we find you?
Simple and easy. You can find me on Twitter at Crazy Louis Gaming, where I do all sorts of crazy stuff and take crazy pictures and do what else do I do? Say good morning, and yeah, that's what I do over there on Twitter X. And also, you can find me on Mondays on the Double Barrel Gaming YouTube channel at the Xbox Lunch Break Special at noonish with Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, Mr. Web Dave, and Mr. Boomstick. And as always, here chilling out with you guys on the Xbox International Podcast every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. ET. Yeah, loads of fun. But hey, guys, like I say, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also hit that bell so I can tell you when XBI comes on. And before I go, I also want to thank the chat. You guys kept it rocking and going. You guys are awesome. I love y'all to death. You guys rock. And like I always say, remember. Let's go. Let's rock and let's land on gas planets. Yes. See you all next Wednesday. Bye, guys. Love y'all.
See ya.
All right, outro's playing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at our destination. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off this live stream. On behalf of Xbox International, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you aboard next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.